Good afternoon and welcome to the Snakebite, your home for all things FSC athletics. I'm Reems.
And I'm Andrew Pauling. Before we get into our regular Moccasins updates, we'd like to take a moment to take a clip from an interview with Athletic Director Pete Meyer, who retired last Friday after 20 years at Florida Southern College. Here's some of what he had to say, reflecting on his 20-year career here at FSC. Pete, first off, congratulations on an outstanding career.
Thank you very much. Truly enjoyed it.
And in your time here at Florida Southern, we're going to get into some of the things that have happened over the last 20 years, some of the highlights. What are some memories that truly stand out to you?
Well, at Florida Southern, the biggest memory I had was 05 national championship. Being down 8-2 or 3 in the ball game and coming back and winning 12-9 and piling on and watching the players pile on. To me, it's all about the success of the student athletes, whether it's in the classroom, in the community, or on the field, or course, or court, or pool, or whatever it is. I just want to see them do well. That's our job, and we have a system at Florida Southern, a culture at Florida Southern, that has been just phenomenal to produce outstanding student athletes.
And as you mentioned, the success of the athletes. In your decade as athletic director, the college has won 4 team national championships and 12 individual national titles. What are your thoughts specifically on the on-the-field success of the athletes, especially over this past decade?
I mean, I'm almost speechless with the number of victories, the number of championships. But when you break it down to the individuals, I asked Ryan Bauer to give me the numbers on All-Americans and academic All-Americans. And those are the best athletes. And we've had 139 All-Americans and almost 40 academic All-Americans during that time period. So when you look at the individual athletes, then you can see why we have overall team success. And that's the culture of Florida Southern College.
The interview in its entirety can be found on all FSC TV social media outlets. And once again, thank you to Pete Meyer for taking the time out of his busy final days to sit down and talk. We wish him nothing but the best in his future endeavors. Now, moving on with your weekly update in Moccasin Athletics. The men's basketball team split their 2 games over the past week with a 91-80 victory against Eckerd and an 81-92 loss against Barry. Our own Slinky Jones was made a contender for the NCAA dunk contest, and voting can be done online at darkhorsedunker.com. You can vote once a day on any device. The Mocs are back in action tonight on the road at St. Leo and wrap up their regular season at home versus Rollins on Saturday. The women's team went 2-0 over the past week with a 69-56 win against Eckerd and an 85-60 win against Barry. The Mocs also wrap up their regular season with games against St. Leo and Rollins respectively. Reems, the Mocs just won their 2nd straight SSC championship. How do you think that they've been playing as of late?
So they've done a really good job so far, picking up a 3-game win streak highlighted by that 25-point victory last Saturday. Coming off that 2-game loss, I was unsure of how they were going to come back from it, but they did a really good job so far heading into this conference tournament. The Mocs are slated to host the first rounds on March 6th at home. And it's their 14th conference championship over time, so they're turning into a very respectable program very quickly here.
No, absolutely. Mocs playing well as of late, and that first round of the championship will be here at home.
Yeah, March 6th.
March 6th. Make sure you show up to the games.
Yeah, now let's check in with some softball and some baseball news. The softball team had a tough weekend against the University of Tampa last week. The Mocs lost the first 2 contests in low-scoring games before picking up an extra innings victory in Game 3. In total, the 2 teams scored just 8 runs combined over the 3-game series. In baseball news, the Mocs picked up a 6-4 win against Merrimack College last Thursday night before being swept by Barry University in a 3-game weekend series. This was the first time the team had been swept since 2017. They were shut out in Game 2, which represents their first offensive shutout since 2016. With a 6-5 record, the Mocs began a 3-game series against Kentucky Wesleyan, with games tonight, Thursday, and Friday. Andrew, what are your thoughts about that baseball performance this past weekend?
Well, the Mocs played well in the Thursday game against Merrimack. That was more the usual for the team, and then struggled all weekend long against Barry. Just couldn't get really any timely hits. There was a few tough breaks on the bases and on the mound. They threw a lot of pitches, 15 full counts in one of the games from a pitching standpoint. So they just struggled to execute a little bit, which isn't very characteristic of the team. And I do expect them to bounce back. They have the 3-game series starting tonight against Kentucky Wesleyan, and then over spring break, they also have a home game on Monday and a home doubleheader on Wednesday. So 6 home games over the course of the next week for the Mocs. They typically play very well at home, and this is a team that I expect to really get back to their winning ways. They're going to be playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder after getting swept by Barry, and I know that they're going to come out swinging the bats well.
Should be a good game to watch.
Now let's check in on lacrosse. The men's team improved to 1-1 on the season with a 20-12 victory against Montevallo on Sunday. They take on Emmanuel at home this Sunday at 4 o'clock. On the women's side of things, the Mocs fell to 1-1 with a 9-11 loss against Adelphi on Sunday. They take on Seton Hill this Saturday at home, where they look to get back to their winning ways.
The men's tennis team picked up a 5-2 victory against number 12 Palm Beach Atlantic this past Saturday. They have 3 home matches this upcoming week with games against Grand Valley State on Saturday, Davidson on Monday, and Davis and Elkins on Tuesday. The women's team picked up a pair of 6-1 victories, beating both Tampa and Palm Beach Atlantic last week. The 5-0 Mocs will take on number 3 St. Leo today at 3 p.m. and will be on the road against Erskine, Tiffin, and Catawba over the weekend.
The men's golf team finished second out of 18 teams in the Newberry Invitational back on February 19th. They take on Columbia this Saturday in Orlando. The women's golf team finished 8th out of 17 teams at the Lady Mock Classic, which also wrapped up play on the 19th. The Mocs have a 2-week break before they are back in action in the Peggy Kirk Bell Invitational on March 11th.
Looking at beach volleyball, the Mocs went 0-4 in the FAU tournament this past weekend. Upcoming, they have a doubleheader at home this Tuesday against UT Martin. Those matches are scheduled for 10 a.m. and noon.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Snakebite. Megan and Slinky will be back with you guys in 2 weeks, as we will be off next week due to spring break. I'm Andrew Pauling.
And I'm Reems Landreth. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.